As rumors spread that two of the biggest stars in love and hip-hop, Kirk Frost and Yonge, were arrested after a violent altercation that broke out on set. Yes, what was supposed to be just another routine shoot, but apparently went out of control and turned into a full-fledged brawl that ended in handcuffs. The entire reality TV world is in meltdown mode, and the entire internet is reeling. Videos are leaking, and fans are left stunned. Fans are left wondering what caused this explosive showdown. Was it a personal betrayal, a business fallout, or something deeper? More importantly, what does this mean for the show's future? Stay tuned because this is just the beginning, and the details will leave you shocked under a tense, overcast sky. Behind the scenes for weeks, but no one anticipated this, according to production sources. What began as a heated verbal exchange quickly turned physical, and within minutes chaos unfolded right in front of the cameras. Screaming, pushing, security scrambling, and sirens. For those on set long enough to read the room, it was clear that something wasn't right on what was supposed to be a typical day of filming for the newest season of Love and Hip Hop. Producers were barking orders, crews were setting up lights, and cast members were arriving on time, but underneath it all seemed normal. There was an unspoken tension between Kirk Frost and young Joc, who exchanged glances, curt nods, and hardly any words. Production insiders claimed that Kirk and Joc had been avoiding each other for weeks behind the scenes, and whispers suggested that the fallout started over a business deal gone wrong. According to reports, Kirk had made some side moves related to a club promotion that Joc didn't approve of. Thought he was supposed to be a part of, but Kirk allegedly abruptly stopped Joc from participating, and Joc wasn't going to let that go. It had been building up to this point, and when the director yelled, "Action!" it was like setting off a fire. Kirk and Joc were both supposed to film a casual scene at a lounge-style set where the cast was supposed to discuss upcoming ventures. Joc arrived late, his expression unreadable, and sat directly across from Kirk. At first, they didn't say anything until Kirk leaned forward and muttered something too low for Mike to hear but loud enough. In an attempt to calm Kirk, Rashida, who was sitting next to him, instinctively reached for his arm. Kirk was unmoved and repeated the line, this time louder. "You're acting like you run things when you don't even own your name." Gasps reverberated throughout the set as Joc slowly stood up. "You're really brave today, Kirk," he said, his voice rising. "Really brave for someone who's been ducking me for 3 weeks. Isn't anybody ducking you? Just don't deal with clowns." Within seconds, chairs scraped the floor as the two men stood nose to nose. Security hurried in, but the Joc shoved Kirk first, sending him stumbling back a few steps. Kirk quickly recovered and lunged forward, his fists swinging. The cameras were still rolling as chaos broke out, and the crew tried to intervene, but the fight was intense, with furniture toppling and fists flying. Even the other cast members were shocked and frozen at first, jumping in to try to separate the two. Rasiva screamed Kirk's name repeatedly, her voice almost drowned out by the commotion. Producers were calling immediately, and Scott wasn't even on set at the time, capturing every second of the altercation in crisp video. One producer even muttered, "This is going to break the internet." However, chaos got out of control, and Joc reportedly threw a punch that unintentionally struck a security guard. Within 20 minutes, law enforcement arrived and police entered the building as Kirk and Joc were still being restrained in opposite corners of the set. Both of them appeared bruised and angry. Officers took witness statements, requested video, and started separating those involved. Kirk yelled something at Joc as officers released him, saying, "You're finished, bro. Done in this industry." Joc's expression said everything was not over. But as word spread outside the set, social media exploded. A short 6-second clip of Kirk swinging first appeared on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok like wildfire, shocking many fans who didn't respond. Believe it or not, it was scripted at first. One user commented, but others said it was too real to be fake. Within an hour, the video had over 1 million views on blogs, and the headline read, "Tennis posted a blurry photo of both men being led away in cuffs." Commenters were viciously arguing over who was at fault, who started it, and what it meant for the show's future. Meanwhile, as rumors spread that two of the biggest stars in love and hip-hop, Kirk Frost and Yonge, were arrested after a violent altercation that broke out on set. Yes, what was supposed to be just another routine shoot, but apparently went out of control and turned into a full-fledged brawl that ended in handcuffs. The entire reality TV world is in meltdown mode, and the entire internet is reeling. Videos are leaking, and fans are left stunned. Fans are left wondering what caused this explosive showdown. Was it a personal betrayal, a business fallout, or something deeper? More importantly, what does this mean for the show's future? Stay tuned because this is just the beginning, and the details will leave you shocked under a tense, overcast sky. Behind the scenes for weeks, but no one anticipated this, according to production sources. What began as a heated verbal exchange quickly turned physical, and within minutes chaos unfolded right in front of the cameras. Screaming, pushing, security scrambling, and sirens. For those on set long enough to read the room, it was clear that something wasn't right on what was supposed to be a typical day of filming for the newest season of Love and Hip Hop. Producers were barking orders, crews were setting up lights, and cast members were arriving on time, but underneath it all seemed normal. There was an unspoken tension between Kirk Frost and young Joc, who exchanged glances, curt nods, and hardly any words. Production insiders claimed that Kirk and Joc had been avoiding each other for weeks behind the scenes, and whispers suggested that the fallout started over a business deal gone wrong. According to reports, Kirk had made some side moves related to a club promotion that Joc didn't approve of. Thought he was supposed to be a part of, but Kirk allegedly abruptly stopped Joc from participating, and Joc wasn't going to let that go. It had been building up to this point, and when the director yelled, "Action!" it was like setting off a fire. Kirk and Joc were both supposed to film a casual scene at a lounge-style set where the cast was supposed to discuss upcoming ventures. Joc arrived late, his expression unreadable, and sat directly across from Kirk. At first, they didn't say anything until Kirk leaned forward and muttered something too low for Mike to hear but loud enough. In an attempt to calm Kirk, Rashida, who was sitting next to him, instinctively reached for his arm. Kirk was unmoved and repeated the line, this time louder. "You're acting like you run things when you don't even own your name." Gasps reverberated throughout the set as Joc slowly stood up. "You're really brave today, Kirk," he said, his voice rising. "Really brave for someone who's been ducking me for 3 weeks. Isn't anybody ducking you? Just don't deal with clowns." Within seconds, chairs scraped the floor as the two men stood nose to nose. Security hurried in, but the Joc shoved Kirk first, sending him stumbling back a few steps. Kirk quickly recovered and lunged forward, his fists swinging. The cameras were still rolling as chaos broke out, and the crew tried to intervene, but the fight was intense, with furniture toppling and fists flying. Even the other cast members were shocked and frozen at first, jumping in to try to separate the two. Rasiva screamed Kirk's name repeatedly, her voice almost drowned out by the commotion. Producers were calling immediately, and Scott wasn't even on set at the time, capturing every second of the altercation in crisp video. One producer even muttered, "This is going to break the internet." However, chaos got out of control, and Joc reportedly threw a punch that unintentionally struck a security guard. Within 20 minutes, law enforcement arrived and police entered the building as Kirk and Joc were still being restrained in opposite corners of the set. Both of them appeared bruised and angry. Officers took witness statements, requested video, and started separating those involved. Kirk yelled something at Joc as officers released him, saying, "You're finished, bro. Done in this industry." Joc's expression said everything was not over. But as word spread outside the set, social media exploded. A short 6-second clip of Kirk swinging first appeared on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok like wildfire, shocking many fans who didn't respond. Believe it or not, it was scripted at first. One user commented, but others said it was too real to be fake. Within an hour, the video had over 1 million views on blogs, and the headline read, "Tennis posted a blurry photo of both men being led away in cuffs." Commenters were viciously arguing over who was at fault, who started it, and what it meant for the show's future. Meanwhile, Rashida was seen outside the station looking visibly upset, according to sources, shouting at producers, demanding answers, and threatening to. She allegedly said, "Not a damn war zone," and that she would leave the show if Kirk wasn't released right away. This was meant to be a business scenario. Back inside, Kirk sat in an interrogation room with his face tense and his knuckles bruised. When the police asked him to describe what had happened, he repeated the same account, that he felt threatened and that Joc had provoked him and that he had acted in self-defense. However, given the video that showed the two men fighting, it appeared likely that Joc was in a separate room tending to a swollen eye and a busted lip when asked for his. All of this could have been handled off camera, he added, laughing angrily as he asked Kirk why he had been so afraid to confront me like a man these last few weeks. After being briefed, Mona Scott gave a private statement to the network saying, "This is not what we represent. We want drama, yes, but not violence, not arrests." She asked the team to stop all shooting for an indefinite period of time while the situation was assessed, but there were rumors that she might use the footage to increase ratings behind closed doors. Some crew members claimed she was already talking about how to spin the story for. According to reports, one producer stated, "As long as no one sues, this is gold." In the meantime, Kirk and Joc were detained overnight, and mug shots started to go viral online, leading fans to wonder if their favorite reality stars had finally crossed a line they couldn't escape. When morning arrived, the streets outside the station were crowded with paparazzi, and fans demanded to know what actually caused the altercation, who kicked first, and most importantly, would Kirk and Joc actually face consequences, or was this just a hiccup? As Kirk was being prepared for release on bond, his phone buzzed with a message from a blocked number. The text said, "You think that was bad? Wait till you see what's coming next." This was just another episode in the crazy world of reality TV. His face turned pale, and that's where part one ends. The message on Kirk's phone sent a chill down his spine as he sat quietly in the back of the police station, his hands still sore, his mind spinning from the events of the past 24 hours. He couldn't stop staring at that cryptic text. "You think that was? Wait until you see what happens next." Kirk didn't know who it was or what they were planning, but he didn't recognize the blocked anonymous number. Meanwhile, across town, young Joc was sitting in the backseat of a black SUV, and his manager was driving him away from the station. When he eventually made bail, his face was bruised, his jaw hurt, and his phone kept buzzing with calls and texts, all of which were from. By mid-morning, both Kirk and Joc were trending on all social media platforms. His manager asked quietly, "You want to go home?" And Joc shook his head, saying, "No, take me to the studio. I have something to get off my chest." Joc ignored most of the reporters, fans, and people who pretended to care. They only cared about the damage done to his career, reputation, and, most importantly, his pride. In the editing bay of the Love and Hip Hop production studio, a low-level assistant named Trey had been quietly watching the raw footage. His job was to catalog and label scenes for the editors, but when he stumbled upon an uncut clip that hadn't yet been secured by producers, he hesitated. The leaked video now had over 5 million views on Twitter, and the top hashtag was #KirkShock. Fans were divided, with some blaming Kirk, others supporting Joc, and many simply shocked that things had gotten that far. "I told Mona I'm not filming with Job anymore. He's reckless, he's sloppy, and he thinks this show can't run without him." The producer said, "Are you sure you want to go that route? That'll piss him off." Kirk replied, "Let him be pissed. I got dirt on him that'll finish him off if he does." The conversation was recorded prior to the fight, and Kirk and a producer were speaking in private, unaware that the microphone was still hot in the clip. Trey sat frozen, his heart pounding. He knew that if he leaked this, he would lose his job, but it would also reveal a whole new level of drama. In the world of viral content, timing was everything. 3 hours later, the video went viral online, revealing that Kirk had been preparing to sever his relationship with Joc prior to the fight. More than that, it showed that Kirk was sitting on some sort of secret Twitter account, which was ablaze with rumors about what dirt Kirk had on Joc. Did Kirk start the fight on this? Joc nearly knocked over his microphone when he saw the studio clip, saying, "No, I'm not letting this slide." He called his manager, put my lawyer on the phone, and told Mono, "We need to talk to Mona Scott." Under pressure from the network, they set up an emergency meeting with Kirk and Joc separately. Her goal was to calm things down, determine whether filming could resume, and, most importantly, figure out how to turn it into a ratings win without going against the law. Kirk arrived first, wearing some. "I need to know what's going on with you having dirt on Joc, Kirk." He hesitated, then leaned in. "I got receipts, text messages, and deals he made behind the scenes trying to get me off the show." He'd been moving foul, so this was personal. Mona gave him a hug to cover the swelling around his eye, but he didn't return it. "What's going on, Kirk?" she asked gently. "You tell me," he said. "Why is footage leaking from your studio? Who's playing games?" Unlike Kirk, who came in loud, animated, and prepared to argue verbally, Joc had his sit-down with Mona hours after Kirk snapped. He demanded, "You knew he was trying to play me." Mona raised her hands, saying, "Joc, I didn't know about the messages. I didn't know he was planning anything. I just want to fix it before the network pulls the plug." The following day, a new video surfaced online, this time from Joc's own verified Instagram account. It was a selfie taken in his studio. "Let me make one thing clear," he started. "I didn't start that fight. I did want that fight, but I'm no punk, and I'm not going to let someone throw dirt on my name without clapping back. No, we aren't fixing anything until I get to tell my side." Then he paused dramatically, saying, "Maybe it's time for me to share what I know, since Kirk wants to talk about dirt." That last line sent fans into a frenzy. Thousands flooded the comments waiting for details. Hashtags like #SpilltIt and #JixRevenge began trending, and for the first time in days, Joc was winning the public support battle. Kirk, seeing the tide shift, called Rashida into his home studio. She had barely spoken to him since the arrest. Her face was still tight with disappointment. "I need you to stand with me on this," Kirk told her. "Stand with you? You nearly ruined your entire career over a small quarrel," she reiterated. "If he had been attempting to get me fired, it wouldn't be pity." Rashida shook her head, saying, "You must solve for us, not the cameras." The pressure outside continued to increase as Kirk and Rashida quarreled behind closed doors, and the network began. Mona was walking a tightrope, trying to balance the chaos with the promise of sky-high ratings while advertisers demanded answers and threatened to withhold funding if violence continued to dominate headlines. Then, just when it seemed like things couldn't get any messier, Kirk received another anonymous message on his phone. This time, it was a video file, not text. Kirk opened it with shaking hands, and the clip showed him months earlier in a private conversation with the unidentified woman. The audio was hazy but clear enough to hear him say, "I don't care what the contract says. I'll find a way to cut Joc out. He's dead, wait." At the same time, back at Joc's studio, he received a package with no return address that contained a USB drive and a message that read, "You're not the only one Kirk betrayed." Kirk's face went white once more. Someone was sitting on a complete vault of damaging content, and they were distributing it piece by piece. As part 2 comes to a close, Kirk and Joc realize they're not just fighting each other anymore. They're fighting someone in the shadows. Joc plugged in the drive-in and started to watch in disbelief as the video played, this time showing Kirk in meetings with his network ex, urging that Joc's scenes be cut. Kirk paced back and forth in his living room, the video still playing in the background, his own voice echoing through the speakers like a ghost from the past, each word and sentence a reminder that someone had been watching him, recording him, setting him up, and now the world was watching too. His phone buzzed again, this time a notification that another video had just dropped, but this time it was about Rashida, and Kirk's eyes widened as he realized that no one knows who wants them both to crash and burn. And worse, They still don't know who it is. He hit the screen, and although the footage was blurry and taken from a distance, it was clear that Rashida and the man were having a tearful chat. Kirk didn't recognize the man, but he reached out and touched her arm, soothing her as she sobbed. The caption said, "Is Rashida looking for solace from someone new?" While Joc stared blankly at the data on the US drive, Kirk felt the blood drain from his cheeks. He knew Rashida had been aloof lately, but this was either a real move or just another move in whatever perverse game was being played. As he flipped through folders marked with names, dates, and even episode titles, he noticed that someone had saved years of behind-the-scenes footage, including secret recordings, producer notes, and cast gossip. It wasn't just about Kirk, it was about the entire show. One file, Joc_confession_room, caught his eye, and when he clicked it, the screen displayed an old clip of him sitting in the confessional chair and speaking to a producer. He recalled that day when he nearly quit the show following a furious argument with another cast member. In the video, he said something he never imagined would be seen. "If Kirk continues to irritate me, I'm going to end this show." Snap! And if I don't act surprised, the Joc sat back in shock that the clip taken out of context would make him look like the aggressor. It painted a picture that someone could easily twist to destroy his image, and whoever leaked the fight video obviously had no problem releasing whatever served their agenda. He was pulled from his reverie by a knock at the door, who said, "We got a problem." His lawyer said, "The network's lawyers are reviewing all the footage. They're trying to figure out if they can drop both of you from the show." "What they can't do is that we are the show," she said, "but they're under pressure from advertisers pulling out, and the board wants this mess cleaned up quickly." Scott's voice was calm, but underneath she was furious that the chaos had gotten out of control and that we couldn't fix it. She insisted that we spin it as a redemption arc, where Kirk and Joc work out their problems. Fans love a comeback, but the exec on the line wasn't convinced that they assaulted each other on camera, which isn't just bad press and is a liability. "Give me a week," Mona said. Mona called Trey, the assistant editor who leaked the information, once the call was over. "I need you to find out who has the rest of the footage," she continued gently, "and if it's you, now's the time to come clean." She wasn't positive it was him in the first video, but she had a strong feeling he was involved. Later that evening, Kirk finally confronted Rashida, asking, "What's this video going around?" and holding out his phone. "I don't know what you're talking about." "Don't lie to me," she snapped. "You think this is a game? Careers are on the line. You want to be next." Trey remained silent. "You really think I'm messing around behind your back?" she said, her eyes narrowing. "I don't know what to think anymore." Kirk responded, "First the fight, now this. I don't even know who's pulling the strings." Rashid sighed. "That man is a therapist. I went to him because I needed someone to talk to, someone who's not in this toxic circle. You should have told me like you told me about plotting against Joc or all the other secrets you've been keeping." They stared at each other, and the room was silent. Across town, Joc had an unexpected visitor, his ex-girlfriend Carly, who had watched everything happen online and decided to check on him. "You okay?" she asked softly, and he shrugged. "Depends on what video you've seen today." She sat next to him. "You know this whole thing feels bigger than you and Kirk. Someone's trying to tear this whole show down," he said, "and I think I know who." He pulled out the USB drive. "He's been off the show for a while, and after that falling out with Mona, he's been gone. He knows the ins and outs, the dirt and the secrets. What if he's trying to blow it all up?" But why did Carly ask for revenge exposure? Perhaps both of them were back at Mama's office when she received an email with the subject line, "You thought you could play God with people's lives." Stevie J's eyes widened, and she paused. A video of her years ago having a heated argument with Kirk and another producer was attached. In the clip, she can be heard saying, "Drama sells if they hit each other, so what? We cut it out, add some sound effects, and watch the numbers climb." Mona's heart sinks because she knows that if the video leaked, it would ruin her. She picked up her phone and called Kirk, and Kirk agreed that they needed to meet at midnight in a private back room of a club where they used to shoot. However, before the meeting, I got another message, but this time it was different. It was a still photo from the club security camera that showed Kirk waiting alone with a shadowy figure behind him. As Kirk looked closer, he realized that the figure was too familiar, so he called Joc right away. "We're not enemies, man," Kirk said. "We're being played." Joc paused, then replied, "I know." Joc arrived at the club first, standing by the bar and scanning the dimly lit room, every shadow making him uneasy. He hadn't been back here in months, not since that famous episode where Kirk had called him out on live television, but tonight felt different. Even though it wasn't about ratings or scripted drama, it was real fear, danger, and consequences. 5 minutes later, Kirk walked in, eyes darting around as if someone was waiting to jump out. The two locked eyes and exchanged a quick nod. No words, just a. They moved to the back room, where Mona was already waiting, hastening like a storm ready to break. She didn't say hello or smile, but instead looked up and said, "You two have officially become liabilities. I've been doing damage control all day, and if this mess gets worse, the network won't just fire you, they'll blacklist you." Kirk leaned against the wall, arms crossed, thinking that we don't realize that someone is trying to ruin all of us. This isn't just about the fight anymore. Mona looked doubtful until Joc came forward and put the USB drive on the table between them. "Watch this," he said simply. Plugging it into her laptop caused her face to change from shock and confusion to a flicker of fear as she went through folders full of unreleased scandals, confessional tapes, and unseen footage. The years of secrets they had amassed were enough to bring down the entire franchise. She turned to Jackal and Kirk and asked, "Where did you get this?" Kirk replied, "Someone sent it to him anonymously, but we think it's Stevie J." Mama's expression went cold. "Stevie wouldn't dare." Joc shook his head, saying that he disappeared for a reason and that he had been quiet for a long time. Perhaps he had been gathering all of it while we were out here fighting for scraps. Before Mona could react, her phone buzzed, so she picked it up and went pale. Another video had been leaked, in which Mona told a producer to stage a fake arrest scene involving Kirk and Joc to increase ratings. Her voice set on the video made it look really enough to go viral. The leak had hit a major gossip block, and the comment section was already exploding. Fans were accusing Kirk's phone buzz as well, accusing them of fabricating the fight and misleading the audience. This was going out of control. Mona slammed her laptop shut and said, "We need to get ahead of this and do an interview and a press release." Something Joc interrupted. "No, not this time. Every time we lie to cover up another lie, we dig deeper, and we need to find whoever's behind it and stop them before they leak something we can't come back from." Kirk nodded in agreement. "They're coming after us piece by piece. First the fight, then Rashida, now you. Who's next?" Mama sighed. "Then we find Stevie. If he's behind this, we end it tonight." Illuminated solely by the glow of several screens, the enigmatic sender observed the mayhem unfolding online, with each notification serving as a reminder that their plan was working. They clicked on another video file, this one named Joc_Kirk's secret meeting, which captured the exact conversation taking place at the club right now via a hidden camera placed in the room. The figure grinned and said, "What do you want, Benzino? You think you're the kings of this franchise, the untouchables, but you're just the newest clowns in. I've got hundreds of hours, and the press is hungry," Benzino said, "but this is just a preview." A never-ending circus Joc stepped forward, his voice shaking with anger. "You almost ruined our lives, leaked our private convos, set us up, and turned everyone against us." Benzino raised an eyebrow almost before tapping the key on the laptop, causing screens around the warehouse to flicker to life, showing footage of Kirk arguing with Rashida about cheating rumors and Joc in a screaming match with his ex-Mona planning cast about firings behind closed doors. Kirk's fists clenched as he asked, "What's your price?" Benzino laughed. "I don't want money. I want exposure. I want the world to see the truth. I want to watch everything you built burn." Jockey stepped closer. "And you think people will believe a disgraced ex-cast member over us?" Zeno's smile didn't go away as he said, "I don't need to convince anyone. The chaos speaks for itself." Just then Mona's voice echoed through a hidden speaker. "He's bluffing," she said. "I traced the server he—" Then Zeno's eyes widened as he hurried to the laptop, typing frantically. Kirk and Joc moved in, saying, "It's over, and you had your moment. Now it's done." However, Zeno wasn't prepared to give up, so he pulled a small pistol from under the table and pointed it at Kirk. The air froze, and the Joc raised his hands, saying, "You're really going to shoot us on?" Then Zeno's hand trembled, and he said, "I lost everything because of you guys. My name, my brand, and my family were all gone." Kirk remained calm and won't bring any of that back. At that moment, Mona triggered the feed one last time, and, with 10 seconds remaining, Zeno stared at it, then dropped the gun and sank into the chair. "Do it," he muttered, and the files disappeared. The screens turned black, and the sirens sounded in the distance. Even though the main files were gone, the internet never forgets. Fragments of the videos remained on gossip blogs, fan pages, and shady forums, and their reputations were still in doubt. Mona set up a private sit-down interview with a major news organization. Then Zeno didn't resist. Instead, he just sat there broken as officers swarmed the building. Kirk and Joc stepped outside, the early morning sun casting long shadows behind them. "We survived," Joc whispered. Kirk nodded hardly, even though the battle wasn't over. Outlet where they gave their side of the story. Kirk talked candidly about the pressure of fame, the manipulation from producers, and how they had lost themselves chasing ratings. Joc admitted to his regrets, his temper, and his blindness to the bigger picture. The interview went viral, and fans were split on whether to praise or accuse them of spinning the story. But one thing was certain, they weren't going down without a fight. Over the coming weeks, Mona launched a new digital series called Reality Unfiltered, which gave cast members a platform to share their genuine and undated stories. Kirk and Joc became regulars, opening up in ways the audience had never seen before. Overwhelming because, for the first time in years, fans saw them as real people, not just characters. Behind the scenes, Menino was charged with several crimes, including cybercrime, blackmail, and illegal surveillance. And even though he claimed to have acted alone, there were rumors that others were involved. The mystery remained partially unsolved, adding to the already crazy story. Kirk and Joc took a break from filming to focus on family healing and reconstruction, and Kirk spent time with Rashida, going to therapy and attempting to repair what was left of their relationship. Joc reconnected with his children, and they both promised to be more present. The scandal gradually stopped making headlines, but the experience changed them. They were no longer obsessed with fame. Instead, they began talking about creating their own content, something genuine, a project that gave back to the community rather than tearing it apart. Mona surprisingly supported the idea, perhaps out of guilt or because she saw a new business opportunity. But they started planning something new, something honest, and occasionally Kirk would receive a message from him. This time, Kirk wasn't afraid. He and Joc had faced the worst, lost everything, and still stood. No matter what happened next, another scandal, another leak, another betrayal, they were prepared to tell their story their own way. And this time they were in control. Suddenly, what began as a simple backstage argument between Kirk Frost and Young Jay turned into one of the most shocking and chaotic scandals reality TV has ever seen. There were no words, just an emoji or a blurry screenshot that served as a reminder that the past never truly goes away. For Kirk and Joc, this was real life, and even though they survived the storm, the scars it left behind might never completely go away. However, the real question is whether Kirk and Joc truly redeemed themselves, or if it was just another calculated move in the reality TV game. This story had everything from viral fights and leaked videos to hidden betrayals and a mysterious revenge plot. Nobody saw coming the arrest, the confession, the confrontation with Benzino, and everything else. We would want to know if you believe Kirk and Joc should be given another chance on reality TV. Was Benzino a monster or just another victim of a toxic system based on celebrity and ratings? ultimately alter the way it manages drama and real-life situations? Or is this simply the way things are? Share your ideas in the. We're reading all of the comments below, so please remember to like this video if the twist caught you off guard. Click the subscribe button to receive more thrilling updates, behind-the-scenes glimpses, and the actual scoop on your favorite celebrities. Nothing stays buried in the realm of reality, TIV, so what comes next will leave you stunned. Long, and the next controversy is always only a single camera angle away, so keep an eye out. Curious and, as usual, untidy.